Russian Federation has amassed upwards at this time of over 100,000 ground forces, air forces, naval forces, special forces, cyber, electronic warfare, command and control, logistics, engineers, and other capabilities along the Ukraine border. All of it packaged together. If that was unleashed on Ukraine, it would be significant, very significant, and it would result in a significant amount of casualties. And you can imagine what that might look like in dense urban areas, along roads and so on and so forth. It would be horrific. It would be terrible.
I have been receiving emails from people who have been asking me, kindly offer some views. We are in a state of distress concerning events which are rapidly evolving between Russia and Ukraine. And could you kindly offer some guidance, some explanation, so we can have a better understanding from the perspective of Islamic eschatology, of course, of what is happening between Russia and Ukraine. And I want to remind you, if you need to be reminded, that Russia today is not the same as Russia yesterday. Yes, there used to be a Soviet Union, which was a superpower. But that superpower was sometimes acting in tandem with the West. As you can see what happened in the war of 1973, when the Zionists were on both sides of the war. And that's why the war was taken to a draw. And then you see the Soviet Union again in tandem with the West when in 1952, Nikita Khrushchev handed over Crimea, which is Russian, to Ukraine in the middle of the night, without asking the people of Crimea what they wanted, without seeking permission of the people of Russia. This is what Nikita Khrushchev did. So you see the Soviet Union playing a game with the Western world and throwing dust in our eyes. And that is in 2014 when they lost Crimea. Russia took Crimea, or rather took back Crimea, because Crimea belonged to Russia. Russia took back Crimea in 2 weeks without firing a shot. And for this, they have never forgiven themselves. Russia is now facing this bitter hatred and envy from the West because of the power that Russia now has, and Russia is not prepared to bend on its knee and submit to them. The West has suffered yet another defeat in Afghanistan, and it was a humiliating defeat. They have only themselves to blame for almost 20 years. So many they have killed in Afghanistan, and yet they were defeated. Afghanistan is known as the graveyard of the superpowers. And now what is happening is that there is an incremental effort, beginning with the regime change in Ukraine in 2014, to bring Ukraine into NATO. If Ukraine ever becomes a NATO member state, then Russia will have NATO on its very border, and NATO's missiles, nuclear missiles, can hit Moscow in a matter of minutes. This is not a security option that Russia is prepared to accept at all. And so Russia has put its foot down. This is our red line. Whether you accept our red line or you don't accept our red line, that's your choice. This is our red line, that we will not allow a next-door neighbor state to pose such a tremendously dangerous threat to our security. So we're going to take steps to ensure the protection of our own security. This is Russia's decision, and Russia has every right to ensure its security. It is a superpower. It's the most powerful military power in the world today. And so that is the moral argument and the political argument. for those who say, no, Ukraine has the right to do what Ukraine wants to do. Well, fine. You cross the red line and you see what's going to happen. Russia is not going to back down. This is the first point I want to mention to you. So if these fools with a capital F in NATO decides to continue on this foolish path, they will take mankind to nuclear war, and they're the ones to be blamed for it. The second point I want to make is that Russia is attempting to change its strategic environment in such a way that the grave threat to Russian security can be diminished. And for this reason, Russia has amassed more than 100,000 troops, Russian troops, and all the hardware you need, all the military supplies you need for war on the Ukrainian border, the border between Ukraine and Russia. Will Russia invade Ukraine? No. I don't think Russia is so foolish, unless, of course, somebody wants to force a war, and somebody causes the fireworks to start. There are always those who want to get war, and Allah speaks of it in the Quran. They want the war to take place, but Allah comes and He prevents the war. So unless and until there is someone who causes a pretext for war to start, Russia will not, I believe, intervene militarily to invade Ukraine. I think I'm correct in that analysis. Well then, what else? The amassing of all of these troops on the Ukrainian border is a show of force. And that show of force is meant to deliver a message, a military message, a political message, an economic message, but most importantly, a psychological message. And eventually that message will reach the hearts of the Ukrainian people. You cannot be a Ukraine next door to Russia and adopt this position of hostility and posing a grave danger to Russian security. That is not possible. So you will find eventually, I believe, that this Russian show of force, that's what it is, a show of force, will have the effect of bringing about a change in the strategic environment, particularly in terms of psychological change in the hearts of the Ukrainian people. So you can relax. I don't believe there's going to be a nuclear war between Russia and Ukraine. But keep watching, because they are provoking war. They're trying to get Russia to launch a war. That's what they want. But Russia is not that stupid.